So first of all, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for taking some time it's Wednesday, right? Yep, Wednesday afternoon to spend some time with us. I don't keep track of the days anymore. I'm Chris Seitz. I'm the CEO of Guardian Medical Direction. Obviously, many of you are aware of that. That's why we're here. We invited you to this. Very excited to be bringing in Justin Lesh. Justin is the co-founder and one of the head strategic people over at Grow Local Digital. We've been working with Justin and his team for quite some time now. I've had the pleasure of, like I said, meeting Justin in person at some conferences and stuff. Very excited about what they're doing in the marketing space and in the business growth space for clinics like your own. So, people in the wellness industry, medical spas, IV hydration, weight loss, primary care, they kind of do it all. I've been around the block a few times when it comes to marketing companies. And healthcare marketing is very different than just general marketing. And that's where I think Justin Lesh and his team really bring in some tremendous expertise. I've seen them grow a lot of our affiliated clinics tremendously. And one of the best things I think that what Grow Local Digital does, and specifically Justin, is that, at least for me, they keep it simple, right? Keep it simple. Simple strategies work, right? They don't overcomplicate this stuff. They really have some very strategic strategies that have proof of concept and that have worked in this space, in the healthcare space. And they're very cognizant of the compliance aspects of, healthcare marketing and the nuances and difficulties of that. I always tease, like I said, I myself am a board certified emergency physician by trade. That means I'm good at one thing. And that means that I'm not good at the other thing. So like I said, when it comes to marketing and business, we as healthcare professionals a lot of times struggle, and that's okay. I think owning that struggle is a big piece of it. Partnering with people like Justin and Grow Local Digital becomes key to our success as we navigate healthcare business. So Justin, thank you so much for being here. Very excited to have you present to the crew today. I know a lot of people are excited to jump in here and learn from you. So we appreciate you taking the time.
No problem. Well, and I won't lie, I had to really go down. I love this. You guys are going to see me get all passionate and start talking fast. And I speak at a lot of events. So I love giving tactical things in marketing. But today I really want to talk a little bit more about the strategy. Because if I give you the tactics, if I give you a syringe, it doesn't do anything if you don't look at the full picture of how it's going to help somebody. And so that's really where I want to go into today. Now, I don't know how much time we have blocked off, but I do want you guys to know we are doing an overview here today. And so what I would really encourage you guys, if you want to do a deep dive, we have a full team of consultants. We don't do sales. We look at your business and see, is this something that's going to even fit for you? Because I'll be honest, there's a few of you guys I see that are maybe doing IV hydration. You may not really want to grow your business. You might be happy doing 5 or 6 strips a week and that's your thing. And so you need to know that about yourself. And so anyone we talk to, we will always go in, see where you're at, what resources you have, where you're set up. Chris, we do ask if they have medical direction because you'd be shocked how many businesses.
I like it. It's important.
People are like, hey, we want to market semaglutide. I'm like, who's your medical director? Like, why do we need one of those? Right, so it's amazing.
So this is another thing too. Like I said, sorry to interrupt you, but just to speak to what you guys do. I've interviewed you in the past for other things like our podcast and stuff. But one of the things I really love about what you guys do is that you are perfectly fine telling people we're not the right fit for you. Grow Local Digital is not going to be a good fit for you after we've looked at your business. You're not out there to just land every client you can. You're there to work with the clients that fit you and that you fit, that you can actually help succeed. So I think that's a huge testament to what you guys do from a business standpoint, especially from a marketing standpoint. There's plenty of marketing companies out there that'll take your money, throw around some terms like SEO, and then 6 months later you have no results. And that you guys don't do that. I mean, when you work with people, if they're the right fit for you and you're the right fit for them, you guys bring a lot of results. So I respect that a lot. So I think it's worth mentioning to this group.
Thanks, man. Well, and honestly, guys, that's how all of you should be in your business. And your business will work a lot better. You're going to know right off the bat when you meet someone, like, I don't want this person as a patient long-term. And if you've been doing this long enough, I guarantee you've had that patient that you shouldn't have took, and you had them long enough that you're like, that was not worth any of the money. And so we've just learned who we're for and who we're not. And so real quick, I'll even just say that as we're going through, if you know it all, you're probably not our patient, because one of our passions is we want to teach you, we want to educate you, we want to coach you, along with providing the resources for marketing. So I'm going to jump in. Chris, please feel free to ask questions as we go. Sure. Guys, keep dropping questions in the chat, and we'll see if I can get them as we go.
I'll watch that chat for you too, so we can kind of jump in there. But yeah, make sure you guys reach out, and if you have questions, jump in here. We'll try to keep it going.
So guys, just a quick, I don't ever want to be ooh, look at me, this is who I am. But just so you guys know, quick background for me. I've owned brick and mortar wellness businesses. So I've actually been in your shoes. I've had people walking in and out. I know a lot of that. So I'm not just some marketing guy. I speak nationwide at wellness clinics and conventions, just like Chris here. So I'm considered somewhat an industry expert, but also I have a lot of data. I consult for some of the major franchises, just like Chris, that are out there in the space. Some of you guys would know. But we have actively about 275 clinics we're working with as of like today that we're watching all the stuff that's going on. So I can tell you the ones that are doing really, really well, and I can tell you the ones that struggle. And so I'm going to show you the best practices I see from some of the most successful clinics. And it's funny because it kind of goes different from what a lot of you guys want to come into when you first leave the hospital or whatever brought you into the space. And so I kind of want to go through what that looks like. So know the strategy. You need to know what your strategy is. And so one of the things that I think that is done really, really well by some of the top performers that I see done very poorly in wellness is the problem. You guys can do everything. You can help with hydration. You can help with autoimmune. You can help with all these things, weight loss. And so your marketing just looks scattered. I see it all over the place. We work with one of the really large mobile IV chains out here in Arizona. And for a long time, it was like, we do hangovers, we do this, we do this. Instead of picking one pain point. Now, I'm not saying you have to be stuck to that pain point, but your marketing should speak to a pain point that when someone's sitting on the toilet scrolling through social media, they're like, I'm struggling with this, and they see it. I'm going to speak to the IV people in here. I'm not saying you can't market IV hydration, but when you're targeting hangovers, people with the flu, you're hitting a pain point that's there for a day or two. And it becomes very, very challenging. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do it and have awareness for that, but you definitely want to have some offers that target a pain point that stays more chronic, because that person, even if they don't take action today, even if they miss their consult or their appointment, they're still valuable to you. The second part of your strategy should be, if nothing else, to get them into your business. Now, I'm speaking more to the brick and mortars. Mobile's a little bit different, but at the end of the day, once they get in to meet you, that is where business happens. And you should be doing whatever it takes to get people into your clinic, to meet your amazing staffs, to know what you do. Because even though we live in this world and we're at these conventions and conferences and we see it on social media, I have friends to this day. I've been at mobile IV marketing for almost 3 years now. That are like, that's just for hangovers, right? And it's like, no, but the education's not there. And so you need to realize that and accept that versus be all mad about it. Selling them the first thing. I think this is the biggest part. Guys, we use mobile IV therapy, for example. Some of the bags in my area, it might cost $300 for a drip. That's a big ask for someone that has no idea what it is. A lot of you, I saw someone put like fillers and things like that. You might be looking at a $500 price point. You need to get them into your clinic and committed. And so if you can sell them the first thing, maybe it's not what they need total, maybe it's not the thing, but once they're a customer, it's so much easier to sell the next thing. And so strategize that way. How do you do it? Now, the really obvious one here is getting results. Like, can you do what you say you're going to do? And I'm going to just very quietly, I'm not a practitioner, so I have to be careful here, but you need to make sure you're good at what you do. And I'm sure Chris will back you up. Like, do you have protocols for what you're doing? Do you have SOPs? Are you following up? Are you taking care? We're going to dive into this a little more, but you have to get the result you promised. And then do you have a system in place to sell them the next thing? Because you want to keep them in continued care, which is how you make money and get results. So there's a great quote I like is, if you want to get a better understanding of ROI, get into gardening. Now, for those of you who don't know, ROI is return on investment. You put $1,000 into marketing, how much do you get back? And I like the gardening analogy because everything you do in marketing is planting seeds. Even right now, guys, like, I'm marketing, I'm planting a seed. Some of you guys will turn into customers, some of you won't, but I'm planting a seed. So the more seeds I plant, the better. But there's better soil, there's better types of seeds, there's watering, there's a lot that can go into it. So think about this in this whole process today as we are gardening. So
really quick, Justin, I want to jump in here.
Good.
We see this a lot. Again, like Guardian, we provide medical oversight, compliance. We see this all the time where we have clients who, have something that they're focused on. Maybe it's not scaling as fast as they want, or it's not working. They're like, we're going to add this next thing. And even outside of healthcare, we see this in entrepreneurial business in general. Like, the one thing I've got right now doesn't seem to be working. I'm just going to add 5 more things that should help, like, bring in 5. No, that doesn't really ever work. We've never seen that really work. Like, you got to figure out that one thing first. I think that's what you're speaking to, is that, what is that one thing that you can do really well? And this goes for primary care as well. Like, as a physician, one of the reasons that I think primary care physicians have struggled growing primary care clinics is because we call it primary care. What does that mean, right? Like, what does that mean to anybody? Like, your primary care doctor, like, I don't know. You ask people, do you have one? They say no. But I tell you right now, if they suffer from a headache and you ask them who their headache doctor is, they'll tell you. If they have heart problems and you say, who's your heart doctor? They'll tell you. Like, we even in primary care, I think, need to get specific around what are we specifically good at and how can we leverage that, again, to get them in the door. It doesn't preclude you from doing all the other things. But if you show everything that you could possibly do, and some things you do well, some things you do just like everybody else, you really don't ever gain that attention to bring in patients and clients and things like that. So I just want to kind of throw that, because we see that a lot too. Like, a lot of people think that if I just add X, Y, or Z, then the customers will come. No, if the customers aren't coming, it's because of the problem today. Let's fix what that thing is first, you know?
Oh man, we could do a whole podcast on that. Like, first of all, I love those who have direct primary care. That's one of my favorite business models. But yeah, like, I don't even know what direct primary care is. It doesn't even make anything. And also, for those of you out here, like, I work with a lot of manufacturers. We consult for them. And I don't ever want to say this, so if they're out there not listening, I'm sorry. Buying a new machine never just creates revenue. And I feel like some of you guys, I've seen it because I've gone on sites. You have a folder like this big of all your services. And if you've ever gone to Cheesecake Factory, it's the same thing. Like, it's such an overwhelm. You don't even know what to order, that you're like, but like, In-N-Out's crushing right now, guys. They got 3 things on the menu. Poor Chris is in Michigan. They don't have In-N-Out, so he doesn't know what that's all about.
Yeah,
But
it's horrible. It's horrible.
so here's a great example, guys. This is a example for, I think this is like a lipo C shot ad. Now, right off the bat, I show this, and here's what I know some of your knee-jerk reactions are going to be. Well, they are going to expect to lose all their fat for $19, or we're going to do this and this and this. And this is for like lipo C. You could do this for, we have semaglutide ads, all these things. But I want you to look at the anatomy of this real quick. It's someone that looks somewhat like the person they probably want to look like, not over sexualized. That's a big mistake you see, is it's too crazy. It's just a normal person that looks decent. It's an introductory offer, and we'll talk about this in a second. But if I'm sitting there like, I might try this medical weight loss thing, $19, check it out. Now, do we all understand that that will not get someone a result the first time? Yes. Here's where Chris is going to be, my friend. I don't care if someone's coming in and doing a B12 shot or a lipo C, or they're doing a full semaglutide protocol. Every person that walks into your clinic should be met with, smiled, greeted, and done a full consult on. What have you done in the past? What are you taking? What's your struggle? Go through all that, because that's your due diligence to do. But also, guess what? They probably don't need a lipo C shot. They probably need 10 lipo C shots or a protocol or something else. They need more, but they don't know that. And you can't educate them that on a one little thing that's got to stop them from scrolling on social media. So we're using this to get someone to walk in the door. Now, the other thing I'll hear sometimes is people say, well, this brings in the Groupon person. This brings in the cheap people. Well, we're going to talk about that, but I'm going to tell you right now, this is a terrible quote, but my old mentor said, people who are poor make poor financial decisions, and they're easier to sell. So if someone walks into your clinic and they're looking for a cheap thing, if you build the pain enough, you can sell them the next thing. And so I don't want to like sound like I'm saying take advantage of poor people. I'm not saying that, but there is a numbers game on this. Now, do we have clinics that market a $900 product and list the price for $900? Yes. And they might get one person a month to walk in. This is the thing that's going to get you 100 people to walk into your clinic, and they're going to try something. Now, we'll go into that in the next. So kind of going through this, the offer should just make it simple, easy. Guys, you don't understand. For someone to raise their hand and say, yes, I want medical weight loss, like, you live in this world, that person, there's shame attached to this. There's emotion. This is for a lot of other modalities as well. But it's scary. I don't know if you guys know this. Most people don't like shots. I just think that gets so lost in our industry. Like, they don't want to come get a needle. And so for them to say, yes, I'm going to do it, it takes a lot more. So you need to make it seem easier. You need to make it seem like it's a discounted, it's low commitment. They're just checking it out. Now, this could also be a free service or sample. If you have in the wellness space, you could do, come do a cryo treatment, come do a hyperbaric, come do a, whatever it is. It could be a consultation. Consultations tend to have less value for some reason than doing something where they actually get a service. Because this person that's coming in for a $20 lipo C shot, you're getting a $20 consult. They're paying you to do a consult. That's how you view it. And we all know the cost of consult. A lipo C shot's $3, $4, depending on how you're ordering from. Like, that's nothing. But your staff, whoever's doing this, actually is making some money on this. The price doesn't actually matter. We actually have data. For some reason, we've run this campaign at $29. It converts just as well as $19. The price here is the money's negotiable. If you break even, great. The goal is it makes it seem like they can come in. The weird thing is, if you did this for free, like free belly buster shot, it wouldn't work as well because free has no value. So be careful on free unless it's a value add. The goal is you want to get someone that's like, I've been thinking about trying that. Or like, oh my God, I've been looking for help with that pain. Chris said headache doctor. If you're a headache doctor, like in all seriousness, your ad should be like, is your head killing you? Come do a, headache consultation, $10 or whatever it is, but it speaks to the pain, not wellness and hydration. We're here because that doesn't fix anything. So this is your front end. These are seeds. Now, by doing this, we're going to get a much lower lead cost. We're going to get more contacts for our bang for our buck. And guess what? Everyone who opts in for a lead on one of these campaigns is raising their hand saying, I am looking for help with this problem. They may not come in for this particular campaign, but they might come in for the next one or the next thing, but they become someone in your system that you can reach out to and follow up with long-term. I consult for a major surgical center that does knee pain specific procedures. Do you think that knee pain person that doesn't respond this week or next week is still a candidate to be contacted a month from now, 2 months from now? Because it's a chronic condition. And so you want to try to hit more chronic pain points that you can follow up on. So that's our starting. Now, this is just an example. You can do whatever you want on this, but think about the person. Don't put on there 24-week wellness and naturopath treatment modality, because that's too long. It's too much and it's too intimidating, and they don't know what that means. So make it consumable. All right, this is where I'm going to pick on some people here because I work with a lot of you. Y'all are busy and your patients want to know how they're going to be treated. The minute somebody opts in to any ad campaign, the minute they say, I'm interested, they click a thing, they do whatever, they are a patient in your mind, okay? Maybe not with HIPAA, but like you need to treat them like a patient. And what that means is, how do you treat your patients? Are you responsive? Do you get back to them? I have so much data that shows you if you respond to someone within 5 minutes, the chance of them becoming a customer goes up 100x. But a lot of you are like, well, I'm in clinic. How can I do that? How am I doing it? Like, you have to take care of this. This is worth investing. And so how you respond too, because some of you, I go on your websites, I'll book service, and it's like your EMR sends me a message. Steve Smith, we have you scheduled for 3 p.m. at this clinic. And it's like this robot. Is that how I'm going to be treated as a client or as a patient when I come in? Your nurture, the way you communicate with these leads and these appointments matters, especially right now as this market gets more competitive. I mean, I know right now in the IV space, people will go shop 5 different locations within 20 minutes to find who's got the best price and the most responsiveness. So you've got to be good at this. So how do you make nurture better? How do you make this process? 1, be interested. Ask them questions. And you can do this through automations and stuff. That's fine. But like if you're doing semaglutide programming, ask them, like, have you ever done medical weight loss before? Be interested. Show you care. Show you're different, because they're going to ask the questions they know. How much does it cost? They don't know anything better. Flip it around and be like, hey, let me just make sure you're a good fit for our program. Have you ever done medical weight loss? How much weight are you trying to lose? I'm speaking to medical weight loss because I see a lot of that in the chat. But this could be for any of the modalities or the chronic conditions you're treating. This is also where you qualify. If you're a super bougie med spa and you don't want people walking in off the street, you can use this to find the right person and say, hey, I need you to answer these questions for me. But again, text them as if this was your friend, not like, I don't want to see this giant message. You need to do a little work back and forth. Okay, how does that feel? Where are you at? Use this process to show how you're going to take care of them, and it'll separate you from the competition because you show you actually care. A couple fun things on this, guys. I love video messages or voice messages. It's actually quicker and easier than texting. But like, when was the last time someone sent you a video message? And so like, I have my clinics all the time. Hey, this is Justin from the Wellness Spa. We're so excited that you booked an appointment. We're going to have you come in tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. And then do you want a cold water or a tea when you come in? Like, how different would that be if you booked an appointment for a spa versus we have you booked for 3 p.m.? So make this part of the experience to separate yourself, then gets them to come in. And this also increases your show rates for those of you who struggle with no shows.
I want to jump in here too really quick, Justin, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So, because I love what you're speaking on here. And this is the physician side of me talking a little bit. Like, I think sometimes we forget in healthcare that healthcare treatments are a commodity, right? You can go to hundreds of places to get a flu shot. You can go to hundreds of places to get an IV infusion. You can get Motrin from any pharmacy that you walk into. The healthcare treatments themselves are a commodity in most cases. And there's outliers, right? The healthcare experience, though, is not. And that's what you're really speaking on. The only thing really that differentiates you in a market is the experience your patients have when they walk in your door, when they interact with you online, if you're doing telemedicine, how they receive the care that you're providing. That really is the only differentiator. Because I know a lot of times people say like, well, but I take these bags and I mix these other things. Like, that's cool, but anybody can do that. That's a commodity, right? Your competitor down the street is going to find out that you're doing that. They're going to start doing it too. The only thing that's going to differentiate in healthcare. And if you think about it, you know this intuitively, right? You know what I mean? Like if you've ever gone and seen a physician or gone to the emergency department, you know, people don't leave reviews. When I work in emergency departments across the country, they don't leave reviews of like, oh my gosh, that Toradol shot was so amazing. They're like, the doctor walked in for 2 minutes and was super rude. And you mean like again, it's the experience that is actually what you're selling. I think that's kind of what you're speaking to a little bit there. And I think that's just really important to kind of point out.
Well, and I think what I want to say is, as the marketing space, because we've seen even in the last couple of years of being in business, you know, the market's getting flooded. No one's, you know, you're going to see, like right now, I'm in Phoenix. We're the hotbed of IV therapy. There's 1,000 ads on my feed. So if I click on 5 of them, what's going to differentiate? And I think what used to be is you used to be able to just market normal, do an EMR confirmation, and then the experience started when someone walks in the door. What I'm telling you is that experience starts now. In fact, in the last 6 months, one of the things that we had to do for our company is we literally had to build a full call center where we kind of trained, we call them nurturers, but they would literally call, confirm, ask qualifying questions of people for our clients, because we realized that even our clients, they just couldn't do it fast enough. They couldn't do it well enough. Sure. And so not every one of our clients does that, but like calling within 5 minutes, asking 2 or 3 qualifying questions, appointment verifications. Do you have someone on your team that's calling these people? Like, hey, we just want to make sure you have directions. Do you know where you're going? Thinking about all these things, because you'll see in a minute, the show rates matter on these things. You'll get people that book appointment. They'll fill up your provider's schedule, and then your provider's sitting there with nothing to do all day because that person just changed their mind or they didn't feel really interested. Like, you have to sell them here, even at this piece of the pie. And this is probably the hardest piece, I would say, because you guys are all really good at practicing medicine. Like, I hope that everyone here is, but it's like, how do you get the person to show up and walk in the door? And there's so many ways to nuance this, but like some of you guys I see in here, you're probably in spots where you've rented a room in the back of a clinic, or you're here. Like, do you have a picture in your nurture that says, hey, we're over here next door to the Wendy's, like walk in the back? Like, simple things that times 100, 200, 300 leads will get you more consults, more shows. Or even just like, I have one client that I thought was great. She has a dog in her office, which, Chris, I don't know if that's like within protocols or not, but like they have that's like their mascot. So
we can always write a protocol for that. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah,
we can always write a protocol for that. You know,
it's an emotional support therapy kind of thing, I'm sure.
Exactly.
But,
I got it.
But they send a picture of their golden retriever at the front desk, and they're like, Becky's going to be here to greet you. And I'm like, they have one of the higher show rates out of all our clients just from that simple personal touch. So think about that. When someone opts into your ad, they click on your website, they email you, they call you, how does it feel? Because that matters. And if you don't know, have a friend of yours that's not someone that works for your company, go through it and get feedback on that, because genuinely this matters. And again, we literally had to start doing this for some people because they just don't have time, but it's one of the most important things in your business that I think it's overlooked. So I'm skipping a step here, but they'll kind of go into this. The next thing, and this is to Chris's point about experiences, how do you package? So someone comes in for their $19 lipo-C shot, whatever it is, they come in to talk to you. You've done your consult, you've assessed them, which we could do a whole call on consults, and we can teach on some basic consult/sales scripting. I hate the word sales for you all medical people, but it is a sale. But once you found out their pain, you found out what they've struggled with, you found out what they've done in the past, what's worked, what hasn't, what their real motivation is, which, by the way, guys, real motivation isn't like, hey, I just want to, for those of you in weight loss, I just want to get in shape. Like, you're in the ER, Chris. I was talking to a nurse the other day. Nurses are like, you would never let someone walk into the ER and be like, I just don't feel good. Like, you would dig, you would ask questions. How long have you not felt good? What
they do, though. I'll just throw it out there. They do that. But yes, we end up asking a lot of other questions, right?
But it's funny is I see these nurses that, like, in the hospital, they're this boss chick that, like, they won't let anything slide. They're gonna get all the information. And then you open a wellness clinic, and I don't know if it's like the power shifts, but you're like, all right, Mrs. Smith, you just want semaglutide? Okay, cool, let's do it. Like, no, ask the questions, dig, find the real root. And I won't spend too much time on this, but like, if you can't get someone on a sale, especially on something chronic, to the point where they almost are like in tears, you probably have not dug deep enough. And I don't like, again, we can go into this in a whole different thing, but if you just are giving prices on shots, like, oh yeah, our semaglutide is $49 for a shot, you're at a totally different problem. So once you've learned how to dig for that pain, go ahead, Chris.
Well, I was just gonna say, we do see this in medicine so much as clinicians and business owners. Like, I always say that, yes, they are clients and you're trying to make a sale, right? That is true. There is the business of healthcare. And then there's providing care to patients. And I've always said, and I think you back this up tremendously, providing care, true care to patients is what will make your business successful. So to your point, like even if you walked into my emergency department and you said, oh, my back hurts, and I'm like, okay, here's a pain shot, see ya. That's not what you're looking for. I mean, like on the one hand it is, and I sold you on that, sure. But what you're looking for is to be cared for. And I think if we can, I think we can hold both of those true as clinicians and business owners to say, hey, like I can do both. And in doing both, I will succeed at both at the same time. And you can't really take one or the other, or the other is going to falter, if that makes sense. So I think that's very true. I think people are seeking care, so they want more. They're just, shy to it, or don't know it, or haven't been educated to it. That's your opportunity,
I'm going to tell a quick story here. I'm going to actually stop my slides for 2 seconds because I probably should have put this in my slides. My dear friend, Dr. Adam Bender, he'll yell at me for this, but he has this great analogy of, imagine someone walks into your clinic or your wellness spa or whatever it is, and they're like, I've got a headache, give me an aspirin. Well, an aspirin's $3, and like that would make your life really easy just to give it to them. But what if in asking a few more questions, you're like, oh, your vision's a little blurry? Oh, like there's a few other little things. Let's send you out for some imaging. And so you go out to the imaging, which there's money in that, there's reimbursement, but then you find out they have a brain tumor, and now there's a surgery in it. Now, from a dollars and cents standpoint, just asking a few more questions, you went from a $3 reimbursement to almost $1 million reimbursement, but you saved their life. They didn't need an aspirin. They just didn't know any better because they've been told their whole life, headache, aspirin. And so the customer is not always right. And it's your job to dig deep, to find the information, and then to give them the solution that they need, maybe not what they want. And if they choose not to go down that path, that's on them. But it's also, and this is where I will say, you do need to learn the art of sales or persuasion or whatever, because if you cannot explain to a customer why they need to go to this path that they need, you're doing them a disservice. And so just like you've had to practice administering IVs and finding veins and doing different techniques, you need to practice this technique, because if you can't get someone to take the medicine that they need, you're going to do them a disservice. And so that's just my little soapbox for 2 seconds. But I think it's really, really important for you guys to understand that. And we help people with that. Like that's something we do because we're not clinicians, but we come from that background of understanding how the sales process works. And you can stick to your guns and be moral about it. I think people hear sales and they think a car salesperson. This is as simple as, Becky, based on what you said to me on you're doing this, this, and this, I really think you would be best for this protocol. And just knowing what's best for them. And I think educating your staff on that too. All right, sorry, just going back to my slides here, but I just want to hit my little soapbox for a minute there because I'm kind of passionate about that. So going from that, what I suggest is you have people walking in, you've planted these seeds, they've walked in, you've got, let's just say 100 people coming in for their lipo-C skinny shot or whatever it is. What packages and programs do you have to funnel them? And so going back to Cheesecake Factory, they walk in for their lipo-C shot. Don't hand them this entire menu and be like, do you want to buy something? Do the consult, find out where they're at, and then based upon that, do you have a package that falls in line with their goals that you can offer them next? And I typically suggest having 2 of these. We'll kind of talk about this. But this is the first thing. You're going to create some sort of path of care, offer them what they want. So they want weight loss, so you need to offer them that. Now, here's the deal. I saw someone put in here like they're an HRT clinic. I guarantee you that a lot of my potential weight loss people are HRT candidates. And this also goes to your consult of like, could you in your consult even ask questions like, how's your cycle? Do you have mood swings? You can use this consult to dive into other protocols. Use the consult for the weight loss and ask, do you struggle with sleep? Do you have issues with depression? Because guess what? Maybe they want NAD in their package. Like that would be a great protocol for them to go through, I think. I'm not a clinician, I'm just going to say that. But you can take this and funnel it all these different paths of where you want. The person that wants weight loss may just not like the way they look, and they may be a great candidate for Botox and fillers. So you need to use that consult to funnel them in the path you want. But what I would say is, at the very least, whatever you're kind of marketing, so let's say it's weight loss, sell them the first thing, include a little bit of what they want. They all want the easy path weight loss medication. Include what they need. Now, I'm going to be, again, very careful depending on your experience and practice, but I'm going to be, from my background of coaching health and wellness for almost 20 years, every person that's coming to you for weight loss needs some sort of lifestyle behavior change. Now, do you need to be a dietitian to do this? No. But like, could you encourage them to walk every day and like maybe text them once or twice a week with some accountability as their medical provider? Could you look at the data from their Fitbit? Could you have them track their food on a MyFitnessPal? Could you provide them templated nutrition that was made by a dietitian and say, we really recommend you follow this? To include what they need and what they want is very, very crucial. And I think this is no different than like direct primary care. If I have acid reflux, yeah, you can give me an omeprazole and that'll solve it like that. But is it really going to solve it, or am I going to be back in 6 weeks? But if you give me an omeprazole with some lifestyle modification, you might actually fix the problem. And so I would put it on you guys that right now, in a lot of these different modalities, there's a race to the bottom, like Chris said, to commoditize and be the lowest price. But when you can provide a lifestyle change, because they need it, they need that part of it. And honestly, deep down, they know they need it too. And if you don't sell it to them, somebody else will. And I'll give you a quick story. So I used to own high-end like wellness gyms and weight loss centers, right? And so we used to not do nutrition. Like we just provided workouts. We would do some basic supplementation, things like that. And I'm sorry, we used to provide workouts and nutrition. We didn't provide supplementation. And my client, who was really well-to-do, came in, gave us like $1,000. And then she came back the next day and she's like, oh, she asked about supplements. I'm like, oh, we don't do that. So she came back the next day. She's like, I just spent $2,000 at GNC. This guy, Jake, helped me out. And he got me all set with everything I needed. So I walked over there. Jake's like a 19-year-old kid, like no education. She's like a 54-year-old.
Just double what you sold her the day before, just selling vitamins.
And she even said, he's like, yeah, I got to come back next month and buy more. And I'm like, he's just made like triple what I'm going to make. He has no educational background. It doesn't tie into her nutritional program or any of the things she actually needed. And so it was on me to learn, she's going to go buy these things anyway. It better come from me or a recommendation from me. And so I'm not saying to go sell supplements or this, but know your clients are going to look for this. So if you don't have this, maybe you partner up with someone that does, but put this into your package because they know they're going to need this. Are they going to need some sort of exercises if they're looking at weight loss? Now, maybe it's a walking program. It doesn't have to be fancy, but can you create these resources to provide them for you to do it? This also allows you to charge more than your competition because now someone's going to go, well, why is your semaglutide program $5.99 and this person's is $1.99? Well, because we actually coach. We actually hold you accountable. Maybe you guys have an in-body scale. They come in once a week and they can actually learn about the healthy weight loss versus just losing weight altogether. So you can provide other services in your package that give you more value and worth. And so this is really important, guys, because this also allows for continued care. I'm just going to keep speaking of weight loss because I love these people. But if you were providing medical weight loss, 2 text messages a week, just checking in on your people, which probably any kind of continued care goes so far for these people because they're overwhelmed, they're stressed, they're falling off the wagon. Maybe they're not continuing the medication or the care they need to. Just check in on them. Provide some kind of accountability. And I know a lot of medical people say, well, that's not my job. Maybe, but you're not necessarily getting insurance reimbursed, but that person will stay with you longer if they feel taken care of. So you need to make them feel taken care of. So typically when people are doing packaging, I saw Amber on that, I'll talk about it in a second. When packaging, I would say something along the lines of, hey, for our medical weight loss, we have fitness, nutrition, accountability, and medical. Fitness, we're gonna give you some basic workouts just to get you active. Nutrition, we're gonna provide you some templated nutrition. It's really simple, just easy, just to kind of give you some guidelines of what to eat while you're on the medication so you can still enjoy life. Accountability, we're gonna check in on you a couple times a week just to make sure you're on track. And then we're also gonna do weigh-ins once a week at our clinic so we can see where your progress is going. And then I think the best part is on the medical side, we're gonna have you meet with our provider and get you the best medical resource and medication for where you're at. That may be semaglutide, that may be trizepatide, that might be lipo C shots. Based on your results and your lab work, we're gonna adjust that throughout the program. Does that make sense? Now, real quick, just on a quick note, I really encourage y'all, if you're selling medical weight loss, I'm just gonna speak to this, say that last line. Don't say you're selling semaglutide. You're selling medical consultation and the proper prescription. And this protects you for so many reasons. One, if even let's just say you're with Empower and you can't get semaglutide this week. Hey, Becky, we're going to do 2 skinny drips this week, or we're going to do trizepatide this week just because you don't have it. But also it allows you to continue care because maybe they're only on a 12-week cycle and their BMI drops below a certain point. What do you do now? Well, you've sold them semaglutide. They're not a candidate for anymore. But no, you sold your professional consultation services to keep them on their journey, and you can adjust and tweak it. So sorry, medical weight loss is my jam. So I just like to speak to that.
I also think that I'm pretty sure there's a lawsuit for people who have been advertising Ozempic and semaglutide by name. So just don't do that anyway. But it's like,
yeah.
But to your point, it's smart. Like you're not selling drugs. You're selling again treatment plans and health benefits and wellness programs and things like that. That needs to be the focus for sure.
I'm going to go back real quick. So Amber asked a question, and I think I can handle this. So Amber asked for examples for IV clinics. So there's actually a huge mobile IV company that I work with that on the nurture side, think about on mobile. So let's go back to the text messaging, right? Someone books an appointment. Mobile's really like crazy because they could be calling you for anything. But even on this, what we did is we set up in their automations, we put a video in that's like, hey, we've got your booking. Just letting you know, we're going to match you with a provider as soon as they're in the area. And that provider is going to have everything they need, all the add-ins, all the vitamins, and they can even add a bag for a friend if you want. So we'll let you know as soon as we got you matched up, but just think about who do you want to come in and what do you want to add into your bag. Just in that one text message, it's a video message. It's personal. Who gets a video, right? It's different. We answered half the questions that come up with mobile IV of like, well, is this an official appointment? When am I going to know? We put in their head that they can add in whatever they want and the provider's going to have it all. So now we've actually increased the ticket price and then we've actually asked for a referral all in one video message. And so that just changes the entire experience versus back and forth. Can I add B12? Do I have all this? So I just wanted to throw that out there for IV. It's the same thing. It's still harder for general versus having things. I didn't want to go too off on a tangent, but I saw that question. So packaging, we talked about this. The biggest thing is don't forget to keep focused on the pain. Okay. So if they're coming in for weight loss, add things into your package that help with that. So if we talked about fitness, nutrition, accountability. If they're coming in for aesthetics, they want Botox. Can you add a skincare routine PDF? Like you probably say all this stuff all the time, but put it to a product that you can add as a value. So, hey, we're going to give you our digital skincare thing, or here's 5 videos we filmed on how to do this, but it's included as a value add to the package that becomes really valuable. My wife went to a med spa recently to do Botox, which I don't know if I'm allowed to shout her out for that, but I thought it was really smart that they did it where you did your initial consult, you did your treatment, and then 2 weeks later you had to do a follow-up. And I'm sitting there from the background going, I'm going to come in twice. She's going to make sure she didn't mess up because that's as an injector, you got to watch that. But also like it was an actual value add. Like, hey, we actually are going to include in this today a follow-up to make sure that everything's perfect. If we need to adjust or calibrate, AKA upsell, that it's there. And I was like, oh wow, yeah, an extra consult, like for the same price. What a great deal. So you can do this on all of your stuff, but just remember, whatever your package is, it's all about the outcome, not the thing. People don't care about lipo-C, semaglutide, skinny drips, Botox. They care about, can you get me the thing I want? Can you help me lose weight? Can you help me look better? Can you help me feel better? And I think as providers, you guys get so nerdy on the osmosis from the bag and all this stuff that your people don't care. Everyone that walks into your clinic has got one question on their mind. Can you help me? And the package you sell is not about the thing. It's about, can you get them to the result? And does it seem easy enough to get there?
I will say one thing really quick is this kind of question came through. So again, we're speaking on kind of like general marketing and like advertising, like strategies and stuff like that. The question came through like, well, what if they ask me what medication they're on? You absolutely have to tell people, like,
Yeah.
provide them the education on what you're doing. What we're talking about is more strategy for getting them in the door and, and trying to kind of like, selling them on your products and services. But absolutely, as clinicians, we have a requirement to explain to them what medication they're on and how, the side effects and the risks to that, and give them the education on that. So again, don't confuse those two things in your mind a little bit. We're talking about more of the marketing strategy behind, again, getting people into the door and how you continue to like, upsell them or keep them coming and that sort of thing. But that doesn't preclude you from having, like, don't worry about what you're on. It'll make you skinny. That's not what we're saying, right? Like, you still have that requirement there. So.
Charles is acting. This is Justin. Trevor's my business partner, but I don't know if say Trevor when I logged in. That's good. And guys, me very, very well. I work with hundreds of businesses, but I will never tell a clinician how to run the medical side because you guys are the ones with the patient. So someone's going to say, well, what do you put, in a skinny drip bag? That's a good question for Chris. I'm going to tell you that marketing a skinny drip is probably better than marketing a generic drip. So like, it's those kind of things. My job is to get the people into your clinic and to give you the systems to help them become patients. What happens after that transaction is 100% as you as a provider. Now, the cool thing is there are little things I can have you do that, like text message follow-ups. That's not a medical thing. I can teach you guys how to follow up with a patient to get the best outcome. Saying little verbiage things like, what's the biggest positive change you've seen this week versus, hey, what have you noticed since the drip? Because if you ask someone post-medication, what have you noticed? They'll look for everything and they'll start looking for the negatives too. Yeah, I woke up kind of tired this morning. But asking them, what's the biggest positive change you've noticed this week? They're like, I did play with my kids a little more. And you can start doing nuance there. And so that's where I come in and help on the back end side of things. But I'm never going to tell you how to provide medical care because I just don't know. I didn't go to school for that. I want to kind of keep going on this because I got a lot more on this. packaging. This is really important. I made this mistake when I first got into the space because I come from a strong sales background and I used to sell $2,000, $3,000 fitness nutrition packages, even virtual. So in my mind, I was like, once you put a lab coat on, like you guys have medication, you have the good stuff. This should be easy. And it took me a while to realize that nurses don't all have the same background. In fact, a lot of you guys have weird relationships with money and charging. I spoke at a convention for interventional radiology a couple months back, and like there was a doctor that said the word conversion for procedures, and he almost got like booed off the stage because in like traditional medical, you don't say that. But you have a business, so you have to say that. And so all that to be said, you need to look at your clinic setup and say, when I offer a package, what does that look like? I would tell you the average client we work with will market a semaglutide package at $1,599 to $3,000. But what I'm also learning is there's a lot of room, depending on your setup, to have this first thing you sell be $99. Maybe you offer a $19 skinny drip, and maybe you or your sales staff or your nurses are not the best at sales. So maybe you need to have something that you offer that's $99 and it includes 4 visits for whatever you guys do. Because in those 4 visits, you can build trust, you can build authority, they've been educated, and then you can sell them the next thing. But you've captured them into your clinic. So for some of you, maybe you've got a really strong system and you just need more traffic, sell the high ticket. For some of you, if you're a little awkward on that and asking for money is tough for you or your staff, or you've got a full staff that's sitting around all day, which I see at a lot of my franchises where like they're staffed and there's just nothing to do, you might want to go with a lower ticket and get more people in there. The goal is to sell something that makes them committed to coming in more, and then you can create trust and educate them later. And be real about your staff and situation, because I do a lot of consulting and someone's like, oh, our staff's awesome, they convert at 80%. Maybe you do, but what about your lowest level employee that's actually greeting the person when they walk in? What are they comfortable selling? And the other thing is, think about like T-ball guys. You wouldn't take someone that's never hit a baseball and just take them out and start pitching to them like with a fastball. You hit them with a tee. You get a couple of good, they get to feel what the ball feels like to connect. They get these yeses. They build confidence. Then you take the tee away. It's an easy underhand pitch. Then you let them start playing faster. Do the same thing with your staff because they have not done sales and they need to understand how that works. And so you want them having confidence versus being like, oh, and I always like this term, it's okay to learn before you earn. Maybe you break even on this, but your team's learning this and you do that for a month, but you all get really good at all of this stuff. Because if you're charging $3,000 and your experience doesn't feel $3,000 worth, you're going to have people want refunds. And that does happen even in medical. So learn before you earn. It might be worth it for some of you to start a little bit lower ticket and then build into the high ticket stuff once you're ready for it. All right, I got to go quick here because I'm going longer than I thought. So results. Again, I'm just using medical weight loss because it's easier to see. Do you actually get results for your people? Everyone's like, oh, well, it's the medication. If you come from insurance pay, yeah, it's all your job was. But now your job is to actually make sure they do what they need to do. And sometimes that means you might have to make them do things that aren't necessarily in your traditional scope of practice. Example, I am a marketer. My job is to get leads. But if I don't help those leads get to your clinic, if I don't give you the systems to actually meet with them, consult with them, and convert, if you don't make money, I lose my job. And you need to understand if people come to you for a medication and they don't get the outcome, regardless of whether they're eating pizzas all night, it is your job to do this. And so you have to actually get results. So you actually are going to do what you promised. Can you wow them in this experience? We talked about the experience is almost more important. I know clinics right now, I've talked to the owners that have patients that have come in for medical weight loss that have not gotten results. And if you think that you're special and that you always get 100% results, you're probably full of something. But those patients still stay because they love the staff. They love the experience. And like, you know what, I'm probably better off doing this than if I wasn't doing it. So can you create that kind of experience where people just want to be around? And then are you systematically getting testimonials, reviews, referrals, before and afters if you're doing it? Like, you have to be honest, guys, this is money. This picture is worth something. And you can use them for so many things. So do you have a system in place to get that? Because if you don't, you're missing out. And people now are looking at the reviews. They're looking at your website. They're looking at these things before they ever talk to you. So get the results and have that and have a system for it. All right, I'm gonna move quick here again. Do you have a next step? Someone comes in, they do your initial package. What do they do after? You sold them 12 weeks semaglutide. What happens? Do you have a membership? Do you have a continuation? Do you have a works package? So maybe you are that spa that Chris was talking about, that you've got all the lasers and body sculpting and all these things. And so like, do you have a package that after you've built trust, it's $10,000 for the next 6 months and it's got all of those things? I don't want to necessarily tell you what that package is, but you want to have that in place because your clients often want it. And the easiest way to look at it is you've solved their initial problem. The first package should solve the initial problem. Maybe it's just getting them in the door. Maybe it's getting to eat a little better. Maybe it's getting them to eat less with a peptide or whatever it is. Solve the next problem. So, hey, they've lost a ton of weight. Maybe they need, skin help and skin work. Maybe they want to work on their face with aesthetics now, but you want to solve the next problem. But you want to have that journey mapped out in your head so that you can say, hey, Becky, most people start with this program. And then in about 4 or 5 weeks, we'll talk about the other one. That's where most of our clients go, because it just puts it in their head. But if you're not selling the next thing I'm going to show you right now, you're missing out on a lot of revenue. So I'm going to switch gears. I was all visual, all talking now. Now I'm going to go to math, because I know some of you there's a weird math person out there. This is what a typical campaign for an IV therapy business when I first started doing this would look like. They would spend $100 on marketing. Let's just say they got $10. We'll say this is a skinny drip campaign for a $99 intro drip. So they spent $100. They got 10 leads, $10 a lead. Pretty good lead cost. Not every lead will book. Sorry, guys, just how it works. So you get 5 people to book an appointment and only 3 show up, which is a decent show rate. So you made $300. So you spent $100, you made $300, and you got 3 new patients. But whether they come back or not, we don't really know. This is a pretty standard marketing campaign for a wellness business. I'll see something like this. Now, at the simplest level, I don't know why this gets lost. You just need to scale this up. So you spend $1,000. You get 100 leads, $10 a lead. That gets you 50 bookings, 30 show up at $99. You spent $1,000, you made $3,000. And you got 30 new patients. Guys, once someone's done a treatment, they're a patient. You can now reach out and say, hey, this is Dr. So-and-so. I'm checking up on you. Like, you have that ability to do that. This is where I would say 60% of businesses are. They'll spend a little bit more money, but they stop, because even this isn't a lot of high ROI, and there's a lot of people taking up calendar space. Like, I don't know if it's worth it. But what happens is when you start adding those steps we talked about, having packages, lifetime. So let's say that this person comes in, they do a consult now, and we sell them the next thing, okay? So let's say that we're giving them the option of, hey, Becky, you're here for the skinny drip. Maybe you want to do our $12.99 semaglutide program. Maybe you want to do our $5.99 lipo-C program, whatever it is. We're going to present 2 options. And so the average purchase becomes $3.99. Some will still buy 99, some will buy the expensive ones. Average purchase becomes here. Do you see the difference in this campaign just by adding a consultative package process? You spent $1,000, same amount of money, same amount of appointments, same amount of time, but now you've made $11,970 just from presenting a price and a solution to what they've asked for. So person from a skinny drip wants weight loss. You present 2 options. They could just do the 99, which a lot of them will. But even if only 4 or 5 do the higher ticket out of the 30 you meet, you're still going to get a huge ROI. And this is where the real money starts being made in your business. Plus, you're going to start getting real results, because the people that take that higher ticket package, people who pay attention. People who pay will actually get the result. So just keep that in the back of your head as well. Now, let's say you've got that second tier now. So they come in for 28 days for $5.99 or whatever it is. But now you've learned to add on the next piece. It's a membership for $99 a month for 12 months. It's a next level, whatever it is. But your ticket price total for that person, lifetime value, means in the next year, what are they worth? Maybe you get them to do an aesthetics treatment on top of it. If that patient becomes worth $1,200, which for those of you doing aesthetics, that's not a high lifetime value. That's like 2 treatments. But if you can get the average lifetime value up, this is how marketing starts to really work and make sense. You spend $1,000, same thing, $100, $10 a lead, 50 bookings, 30 people show up. Now keep in mind, what I'm showing you does not mean that they spent $1,200 average on the first day. They might spend $99, they might spend $3.99, it might be $5.99, but then you sell them the next thing. They become worth $1,200. And so when you spend $1,000 and you make $35,000 over the year, and you do this every month, that's where the real magic happens. But it's not just from leads and appointments. That's where I think a lot of people get lost in marketing. It's what you do in your business after that really creates this huge ROI. And I think that's where people get lost, because it is a numbers game. You just need more people in your business to go through this process. And yes, if you look at this, out of the 100 people that come in here, 50 probably didn't even respond. And I get this all the time, Justin, these leads are no good. They don't like it. They're not talking. You don't need all of them to be good. And they may not be good right now. Maybe they got busy, and you can follow up with them in a week, in a month, in 2 days, and they're still gonna have that same problem, and maybe they're ready now. And the other thing that's not even on this is you're building a list. If you get 100 leads every month, at the end of the year, it's 1,200 people you can contact. They've opted in to receive communication from you. You can follow up with. to get these results, it's not just about more leads and appointments. It's about having a plan and a system. And so you need that plan in your system in your business, and everything else just falls into place. So that was kind of my presentation there. I know I hit a lot. And so again, if you want help, we can set you up on a consultation later on. But Chris, let's look at the questions and anything you had on that as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, thank you so much. I mean, Justin, this is huge. I mean, I think that like, whether you're in healthcare or not, this is just good strategic business marketing advice. But I think it's even more critically important for those of us in the healthcare space, because it is different. It's a different beast. It's more difficult in its own ways. I think it's got more opportunity, and that's in other ways as well. So again, some of these, I always like to say, like, the simple things usually are the most effective. And like I said, this stuff seems simple, or it may not still, and that's fine too. So I think, Justin, like, there's probably a lot of interest in like, hey, you know, how can people reach out to you? How can people get more information about what you're doing? Maybe get a consultation with you, maybe hire you guys. Like, you know, people are going to have more questions, and I want to, you know, make sure we touch on some of the ones, you know, that people can, if you got questions, throw them in the chat. But where can people find you, reach out to you, and potentially get working with you?
Sure. So I would say simplest thing, Chris, is I'll get you a link for you guys to send out to the follow-up when you send this recording out. So if you guys want to do it on that, you guys can just book a call on that. But you can go to growlocaldigital.com. But just, you'll go see a calendar on there. Like I said, every one of our consultants, you'll hop on, they're going to ask you all of these things. How many people are you seeing right now? What are you marketing right now? What modalities do you offer? You know, what are you seeing in your clinic? How many providers do you have? Like, I'll be honest, if you're a one-man show, I'm not saying we can't work with you, but you may not be the best fit, because we're going to put a lot of people in your business. It's a lot of work. And so we'll really go into the nuances of that. Every one of the people that's on our team that's a consultant has owned a brick and mortar wellness business. So they get it. They're not just going to be like, oh yeah, you'd be great. But I also want to just say too, for all you guys, something I just thought about with Chris is, guys, especially if you're working with Chris, and I don't know if everyone on here is or not, that in itself is something that's a value add you can add to your packages. If they're doing a telehealth because they have to, don't just, like, in my brain, I start thinking of telehealth as a pain in the butt. Like, oh, they got to do a telehealth. They get to meet with a doctor who's going to customize something to them. Like, that is a huge value. You guys don't value your time as medical professionals, but someone who's not a clinician's like, I get to meet with the doctor. Like, ooh, that's a thing. So just don't forget that piece as well. I just want to throw that in before I forgot.
Oh, that's great. No, I appreciate it. So one question, Erica came in. She's got a cancer survivorship clinic. Do you guys offer marketing consulting for like other specialties outside of weight loss and aesthetics and stuff like that?
So we do some wellness. I will say, specifically to cancer survivorship, it's very tough with Facebook rules to hit certain things. So like, for instance, I've been to high dose vitamin C seminars and ozone therapy. I speak at a couple different conventions for that. So I love what you guys can do on that. It is very challenging because you use the word cancer, you use the word depression, and it puts you down a different path. Now, I would love to consult with you because I'm passionate about that, and I see all the other modalities for cancer out there. To me, though, you might have to do things a little different. I have some recordings out about from when I speak. When you speak on other modalities, so for instance, if you have cancers, people that you're working with, you cannot say, my clinic cures cancer, my clinic helps cancer. But what you can do is you can have a highlight of Becky talking about, when I first started, I was in chemotherapy and I was struggling. I came to Wellness Clinic X and now I feel better. It's about the outcome, and it's her saying it, not you. You have to be very, very careful on the nuances on that. And so you can market that and just say, hey, are you struggling? You can't say with cancer, like, struggling, come check us out, and let the story tell it. We don't necessarily have any campaigns right now for that because it's just not as mass appeal on that, but definitely something you can look at. Now, you could do high dose vitamin C intro drip, $99, helps, really keyword, support cancer, things like that. I'm just
I'll be honest with you,
dude,
even just you answering the question in that way makes me feel like everybody should book a consult. Like, people don't understand the nuances of marketing this game. You can get yourself in healthcare in a lot of trouble, a ton of trouble, if you put out claims or marketing or videos. Like, we put out educational videos, and we have to be very careful how we put those things out. So like, even just your knowledge around answering that question, I think, like, is a testament that everybody here, like, if you don't already have this in place, is it worth at least learning a little bit more from Justin? I mean, I think that, we do medical oversight and compliance, so it's always top of my radar. Like, that's a key important piece, how we're portraying our services and our therapies and things like that. And obviously you've got a lot of insight in there, so I think that's huge. So another person, I'm just gonna go ahead, please. Yeah, sorry.
Real quick, just on that, because we have some IV therapy clinics. If you are an IV therapy, please, I have some major franchises that are still doing this. You do not treat migraines. Chris, help me out on this. You do not treat migraines. That's all I want to say.
Yeah. Yeah, be very careful when you say you really treat anything, if I'm being honest with you. I mean, like even physicians have to be careful that like, but again, I think this is why it's so important that you partner with someone like Justin and his team. Even if it's not them, even if they're not a great fit for you, there are other places out there. Like this is just such a critically important part of healthcare business as a whole. Someone else said, hey, they've seen a lot of leads come in from Facebook and Instagram lately. Is everybody seeing that, or maybe they're doing something right?
So, well, actually, I think what Sai's saying, I think Sai might be working with us, is what's happened recently with a lot of the crackdowns on semaglutide is I'll be full transparent. We were marketing semaglutide not in the illegal context, because semaglutide itself was not an issue. Facebook and Instagram did come and crack down on the word semaglutide. And so what we all had to do in the marketing space was scramble, because we had 300 clients that are marketing semaglutide, to switch and do it. And so we've done a couple things. Is we've come up with different strategies to get it, whether we're offering front end services like this. The biggest thing I will say is Facebook is very, very smart. And so what happens is when Facebook gets flooded with things that make people not engaged, it will start cracking down on it. So in the gym days, even the 6-week challenge was a big one a few years back. They started kind of limiting that. Our job as our team is to be putting out new content and new assets that are engaging. So for instance, our big push the next couple months is we've got a full UGC team of people doing videos and content for our ads that seem more viral versus a picture that just says, come do this special, because we know that's getting more engagement. And so that's really the biggest thing. But I will say for everyone on here, Facebook is like the stock market, and you're going to always see an increase in price. When I first started Facebook marketing, I'd get dollar leads. Now it's $10 leads, $20 leads. If you are profitable and you're seeing an ROI, you can still always increase your spend. I think we missed the good old days. We're getting $5 leads, whatever. But if you're profitable, keep increasing it. So I don't have to kind of generalize that.
Christy. Kind of the general other question happening right now in the chat is basically like, we've highlighted that maybe sometimes, not everybody's a great fit. So I think there's some concern that like, I'm a one-woman show. I'm the only person working my clinic. Like, does Justin have anything he could offer me? Do you guys have educational videos? I think you still do work with a lot of clinics, even if it's just one person. It's just a matter of how much they want to grow currently and that sort of thing too. The problem is like you just talked about it, like, you sell a service, you get results. You guys live that, so you're going to get results, which means that you've got to have the capacity to see more patients and take on more patients if you start working with Justin. Maybe you can speak a little bit on that, because I don't want to confuse people and think that like you're too expensive for people to work with. I don't think that's the case. I'll be honest with you, I think it's kind of the opposite case in most of what I've seen in the marketing space, especially in healthcare. So.
Yeah, I mean, and so I see Tara on here. Tara's a great example. Like she crushes it, but there are people that like, I'll be honest, if you're like half in the hospital, half in your IV business, and you're doing that, like you're probably not going to be the best fit, because if we create a lead for you and we try to schedule that lead and you have one day, like some IV places have Saturday availability and that's it, you're not going to really see the results from it. Our goal is we want to make it like most of our clients can cover the cost of our service with 1 or 2 signups from their patients, depending on what they're selling. But we want to make sure you're successful. I'm going to be fully transparent with you guys. If you are looking for us to save your business, and I'm sure this is the same in patient care, if someone comes in like, I'm going to die tomorrow, like you don't want to treat that person. You want to work with someone that's willing to make lifestyle changes and do this. So if you got $300 in your bank account and you're like, Justin's going to do it, that's not who we want. We want the person that we're going to be able to help build you up and grow and put gasoline on the fire. I want marketing magnifies whatever you have going right now. If you have a great solid business and you're doing it good, marketing is going to magnify that. If your business is crappy and you're not getting any referrals right now and you're not getting patients leaving testimonials, our marketing is going to magnify that. And so that, just know that like that's where we can't fix that piece of it. So I don't know if that helps at all, but yes, there's definitely different variations of that.
Awesome. I think that's great.
Can I just answer Karen's question real quick?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So Karen just asked about the word semaglutide. So if you really want to get nerdy, there are bigger companies out there that can do something called SafeScript. You can apply for it. It's a marketing thing, but you have to have your medical director. There's a bunch of stuff. It does cost, I believe, like $5,000. It may be worth it for some of you if you're doing like telehealth across the country, and you can use that. And so we do have some clients that can do that to save prescriptions. So if you see companies out there saying these things in their ads, that's how they do it. But it is a process and it's expensive. Most of our clients, it's probably not worth it for them. But if you see that, just know that there are different ways to use.
Yeah, and I can speak on that a little bit. So that process requires that essentially me as the physician, if or your medical director, to essentially apply through Google to be able to use certain terms and almost get like a license to do so because we're medical professionals. So it's pretty expensive.
Right.
I don't think it's worth it. If I'm being honest, like, I mean, we've done it for a couple of our larger clients. I don't think it's really worth it. I think it actually kind of adds some liability that you just don't necessarily need. But to your point, it is doable. So,
Sorry, Charles is one of my clients. It's legit script, not safe script. I'm sorry.
yeah.
But also I'll say this too, guys. What we found from just watching all these different clinics is the fact that the person that comes in for a skinny shot or a lipo C shot or anything is the same person that's clicking on an ad for semaglutide. They're the same people. And if anything, I think it's better because you get less commoditization. They're not just looking for how much is our semaglutide. It's, hey, let's get you in here. Let's do a consult.
Eric is wondering if you work with brand new clinics who have no clients yet.
Yeah, so we will absolutely meet with you. This is where the consulting process comes in, because we're going to make sure we set some expectations and you know what that's going to look like, and are you willing to do that? Because, like, again, some clinics just open up and they have 1 day a week that they're open, and that's fine if that's how the business you want to set. We're probably not going to do that for you. But if you're like, hey, we're going to open up and crush it, we've launched tons of clinics. In fact, we've even done pre-sale for some franchises as well.
I think the overall message here is that, like, Justin and his team is probably going to get you results if you can handle those results. They're going to be a great fit. If you don't have the capacity to handle the success of the marketing strategy, then you're probably not quite there yet. I think that's really kind of more of what we're speaking to than price or anything else like that. So, and then we'll go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, I think one thing that I'll tell you that this is even a shift more recently. We've really tried to get away from being just marketing. We first started off, and some of you guys are my clients, have been on for a while. We're like, here's the ads, here's the thing. Because we're in the industry and we see best practices, the big thing I want you to come in is, if you come in with the expectation of you're learning, like, Chris can sign off and order you a bunch of Myers bags, but that doesn't set you an IV business, right? You've got to learn, where do I set them up at? How do I administer it? What are the things that are going to happen before and after? We're the same way of, yes, we're going to provide ads, but what we're really trying to do is get you to understand, what does that process look like? How do I learn the skills before that to get you in there? And so if you come in with the expectation of, I want to learn how to do consults and sell, I want to learn how to do packages, I want to learn how to fulfill, because we will help you on the soft non-medical part of that, and we're going to invest time into learning those pieces, we are a great fit for you. If you just want 1,000 leads, we can do that too, but there's probably a ton of other companies that are better for that. We are in the industry, and so we understand what that looks like.
Awesome. Well, we want to be respectful of everybody's time, so I think we'll end it here. Someone did ask, like, if you could, what is a sample of your services? So check out Grow Local Digital. Like I said, look at that stuff. Book a consult. They can give you more information on, pricing and whether or not they're a good fit. But Justin, again, thank you so much. I mean, I think there's so much knowledge you guys have in this healthcare specific marketing space, and what we covered today. I think, again, kind of taking it back to the basics and really looking at that overlying strategy is what's really keenly important before we launch anything, right? So we really appreciate you taking the time today. This is recorded. I think it was also hopefully put on Facebook Live as well. We will be sending this out in a follow-up email, as well as some contact information for Justin and his team. So Justin, again, we appreciate your time, and thank you everybody for joining. If you've got questions, feel free to shoot them over to Guardian over at info@guardianmedicaldirection.com, or check out growlocaldigital.com and reach out directly to them.
Oh, you guys could also, if you want, I put content like this all the time. Follow me at Justin Lesh on Instagram. And we also will send you, we have a free wellness marketing group we'll get you in later on as well.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. Thanks, Justin. Thanks, everybody.